Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk about authority. Now, before we begin our investigation into what authority is and how we are very susceptible to authoritative power around us, let us look at an experiment conducted by a social psychologist named Milgram in the 1970s. So, Milgram posted an ad for a psychology experiment and invited a few subjects. So these subjects were told to give a shock treatment to a person if they did not answer a question properly. That is, if a wrong answer was given by the person who is strapped to a shock treatment, if a wrong answer was given, then the subjects were told to increase the voltage and give them a shock. It is interesting that almost 90% of these subjects were ready to give the person voltage up to 400 volts. It is almost deadly. And these people were sane people. They weren't sadistic in any nature, and they weren't really psychologically at fault. They were normal people, just like us. And when the voltage reached up to 250 volts, the learner that was strapped to this shock treatment chair even shouted and screamed that they did not want to be involved in this experiment. Even then, the subjects were ready to continue and give the person more voltage and more shock. Now, at first, these results were very baffling to the social psychologists because it was assumed that maybe there is something wrong with the subjects. Maybe the persons harm upon these persons, maybe in a very sadistic nature. But later on, when more of data was collected, it was known that 90% of these people were ready to give further shock treatment even after 250 volts. Even after the victim was shouting and telling that they did not want to involve in this experiment. But later on, social psychologists found out that the problem was not in the subject. The problem was in the authority. That is, the problem was in the psychologists who were conducting the experiment. So these subjects even profoundly were devastated when they were continuing. They were mentally disturbed. But even then, they looked at the psychiatrists, and if they a direction from the authority, that is, a direction from the social psychologists, then they would proceed, no matter that the result was completely against their morality. So, what is it that moved them to commit such an act? The important thing that was responsible for making them continue and increase the voltage, even under really dire circumstances, was the authority. Whenever a direction is given by the authority, we tend to follow the authority because it makes us not think. It makes us be obedient. And obedience is not thinking. And whenever you are not thinking, you are in a comfortable zone. So the more you feel as if you are obedient, the less you are thinking. The more you are committing acts that are automatic in nature. There was also another experiment done by the social psychologists on the compliance of nurses in a hospital. And compliance of nurses from by the doctors is very. I don't really think whether even even when it comes to giving high dosages of a certain medicine to a patient, if they are directed by the doctor, they will blindly register high dosages. Now this capability of not thinking and being obedient has been taught to us by our education systems. A good student is someone who is obedient to the teachers, to the curriculum, to the education system, and obedience is rewarded. A person who is not obedient and who goes against the authoritative figures is looked at as someone who can harm the society. Now, authority and obedience is something that needs to be really looked at some point in your life. We need to be able to analyze and look into who has authority over you. Does the religion have authority over your actions? Does it command obedience? Do your parents have authority over you? Does the company that you work for have authority over you? And in questioning authority, you will find that you will lose your job, that you will lose a good relationship with your parents. Now, if you are losing things, losing relationships, then understand that they may be acting with authority. They are not acting with love. This may be very harsh for some people because the truth is often very harsh. Now, people who give authority and who want to control things understand this very well. They have this inner tendency to make the blind people follow them. They have this innate tendency to control people. Of course, obedience is required in certain cases, but ultimately you have to understand that being obedient will not make you free. You will always become a slave. Now respect yourself. Don't be a slave. Respect yourself and inflate your ego accordingly. In fact, respect yourself so much that if you give a commitment, you follow it. Respect yourself so much that you work hard to keep your word, so that authority can never be an obstruction to what you want. Now, if you look at even our spiritual leaders, even our religious leaders, they certainly had authority about certain things. They imposed obedience. They commanded obedience. This is where you can judge a spiritual leader and a religious leader from a false religious leader and from an honest religious leader. If a person commands obedience, then there is a desire behind it. There is a desire to make you a slave. And the more a person commands obedience, the more authoritative he is. He wants to be in power. He wants to be authoritative. He wants people to listen to him and to listen to his commands. There are obviously a lot of people who do not want to think, who want to follow. And of course, following can lead you towards happiness. Not thinking can certainly lead you towards a peaceful life. Why should you read so many books? Why should you go and search for the truth? You can simply follow a person. This is what An obedient person will think. And of course, he will be happy, he will be blissful, he will be peaceful because he is obedient and he follows. He does not think. It's not his duty to think. And hence, if you look at the religious people, they are obedient. They are happy because they are obedient. They are blissful because they are obedient. It is not their duty to go and find God in the mountains. It is not their duty to rebel against societies that come. It is not their duty to take hurling stones from the societies. It is not their duty to preach goodness or to preach morality. They want to obey. They want to be very obedient. They don't want to think. They don't want to have conflicts in their mind. And hence, a lot of spiritual people are obedient in nature. Most of them, anyways. But are we really being respectful to this life when we are being obedient? Are we being respectful to ourselves, to our individuality, to our word, to our truth? Are we really standing up for it? Or are we finding a way to not think? Why do we not indulge in philosophy? Why do we not read the books that are against our philosophy? Why do we not disobey? Because we want to be comfortable. We want to give our authority to someone else. We don't want to take up the hard work. We don't want to be the ones who write the Constitution. We don't want to understand the law. In fact, we would rather just obey them and live a happy and peaceful life. So, thank you for watching this video. Authority can be really tricky, and it needs to be understood who has authority over you.